go, but until the next time we see you in the far-flung future of a grim dark universe...
Wait. Let's go back.
Come on, 3 6s.
No, not there. Further back. That's better. I just got back from 3 amazing days at the Play On Tabletop Narrative Warhammer 40,000 tournament, and it was amazing. There were 100 players split into 2 sides, attackers and defenders, and unlike your traditional tournament-style event, this was all about the story, not so much winning and losing. I've been collecting and painting miniatures for almost 20 years now, but this was my very first ever big-scale event, and I did not know what to expect going into it. So strap in as WGNR heads to a grim-dark universe for the very first time for the Play On Tabletop Narrative Warhammer 40,000 tournament.
Okay. Oh, God. Just made it to Edmonton. Oh, in the hotel room. 3-hour drive from Calgary. I am pooped, but we're ready to go. Gotta get my stuff unpacked, grab the army, head over for check-in, and then maybe play some games. Let's go. Oh, hey, we got a balcony.
This is Edmonton.
They can keep it.
But the weekend wasn't just about Warhammer because the tournament was being held during the Conon Canada convention. Board games, cosplay, video games, all kinds of other tabletop action, Dungeons and Dragons, you name it. This convention has it all. So if you're a big time nerd like me, I would highly suggest checking this out next year if you're in the Edmonton area. After the check-in, there were open gaming tables and a meet and greet at a local pub, but the real action started on Saturday when we were broken up into our teams and got ready for our first matchup. Longtime friends of the channel know that Wasteland Warfare and all things Fallout tend to be our focus here on WGNR, but Warhammer has been a huge part of my life for decades. I now have way too many of these bad boys, over 4,500 points, but with so many units to choose from and only 2,000 points to field my army, well, some things didn't make the cut. And because it's a narrative event, I shied away from taking a super duper competitive list. There are still some really great and strong units in here, but I shied away from taking anything that would be an automatic feel-bad moment for my opponents. My first matchup was against an orc player named David, and he got the first turn, and well, needless to say, I got stuffed into my own deployment zone on turn 1, and well, I never really left. His giant squigoth, whatever it's called, thing, the big blue thing in the middle of the board, absolutely tore through my lines. This was my first game of Warhammer in about 6 months or so I was a bit rusty to begin with, but you know what? Despite the loss, I learned a lot about my army, about my list, and how I want to deploy going forward in future games. So it might have been a trouncing, but David, thank you so much for beating my head in the best way possible. Game 2 saw me paired up against a Death Guard player named Ben from Edmonton. Part of the theme of my army is that I love to go out and smash Chaos Marines for the glory of the Lion and the Emperor. So this was a perfect matchup against another very narrative-focused player, so we decided to dub this the Battle of the Green Marines. This was a much closer match than my last one, and I actually managed to take out the win. I credit a lot of it to my anti-tank units, mainly the Land Raider and the Repulsor, and his big chunky slow Marines just didn't have the speed to keep up with my bikers. Ben was an amazing opponent, and this was probably one of my most fun games of Warhammer ever. And that was a theme running through this event because nearly everyone I talked to said that they had played some of the best and most fun games of Warhammer or any tabletop game that they've ever had, period, full stop. Just take a look at these amazing battle shots taken by other members of the tournament. There were some amazing tables, amazing games, and a huge thank you to Fenris and Red Claw Gaming for helping support this event. With the Death Guard defeated at the end of day 2, I headed back to the hotel, got some sleep, and got ready to do it all again on day 3. Back at GameCon for the last day of play, and things have gone a little bit sideways for my Defenders team.
What's the state of the union, JT? How are we looking?
We can't tell you yet, but the Defenders need to pull their socks up.
Oh man, who's wearing socks?
I ain't wearing socks.
Oh, that's the problem right there.
With the Defenders feeling the pressure, it was time to jump in to Game 3. For the first game of the day, I was paired with a World Eaters player named Derek, and this was an absolute bloodbath, and hey, that makes sense because blood for the blood god. It was my plasma cannons versus his chain swords, and man oh man did things get wild right off the bat. His berserkers charged the middle of the board and Angron started killing everything in sight. With some lucky shots, I managed to take Angron down in the third round, but with a roll of 3 6s, he could come back.
All right, Derek, give me that roll.
2, not enough.
But he gets a reroll, right?
Yep, we'll reroll it.
Yeah, come on, 3 6s. Oh, 2 again, man, oh man.
With Angron down for the count, I managed to just squeak a win by, but if Derek had rolled those 3 6s, I think this might have gone a very different way. For the fourth and final game, the stakes got even higher because the map I was playing on represented a space station with orbital laser cannons that you could use to bombard other players' game boards. My streak of fighting against Chaos Marines continued as I was paired against a Thousand Suns player named John from Saskatoon. This mission had so many fun special rules, from firing the orbital laser cannons to breaking down and busting through the space station walls. It was just so much fun. The gang from Play on Tabletop did an amazing job making each game board and each mission feel completely unique. And while my Dark Angels fought valiantly to gain control of the orbital cannons, we unfortunately fell to the Thousand Suns. But this was another super close game with just 5 points keeping me out of victory. And John was an absolutely stand-up opponent. We had an amazing game. With the final score tallied, that brought my tournament record to 2 wins and 2 losses. Not too shabby for a guy's first ever event.
Thank you all for coming. This was fantastic. I have loved all the stories I got to hear from all you guys. Getting around and seeing all of your tables, the battles happening. Amazing stories.
And just like that, the war was over. Sure, there were winners, sure, there were losers, but overall, we had a great time telling this story. And when it was all said and done, the Play on Tabletop gang had a load of prizes to give away as well.
Oh my God, I just got home after like 3-4 hours on the road. As you can tell, I have no voice. There's so much I want to say about this weekend and everything, but I physically can't, so I'll do the recap when I can.
And through the magic of editing, I have a voice again. That was unreal. The most fun I've had gaming in a very long time, and I will absolutely be going to more events. I'm really hoping that the Play On gang will be doing this again next year, because if so, I will be there with bells on, and I'm gonna bring the rest of the crew with me as well. Thank you so much for watching and tagging along with me on this adventure, and a huge thank you to Play On Tabletop for allowing me to film during the event and for just throwing this event in general, because it's amazing. And if you haven't already followed them, go on YouTube, give them a follow. They make the best Warhammer content and tabletop gaming content that you're gonna find on the internets right now. If you enjoyed this video, then hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss our next video. And if you really enjoy what we do and want to help us make more videos more often for you to enjoy, then follow the links down below to our Patreon or click the little join button here on YouTube, and you get all kinds of kickbacks like entry into giveaways, access to polls which help us determine the content here on the channel, and you could even become a named character in a future battle report or live stream. So again, thank you so much for watching, and as always, WGNR will be back.